2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Inside Movies Galore. I am one of your hosts, but we are, I believe, starting off the year with, I believe, we're doing this. We tried to get this one in last year, but we were unable to. So it's going to be on this year's roster. So, Tammy, why don't you tell us a little bit about the film that you chose to have us go on about?
Oh, I thought you were.
Oh, you want
Okay.
me to go into the director too? Okay. Okay. Bringing up the. I'll say what IMDb says about the film then first. The film is The Grinch. It was filmed in 2018. And it says, a grumpy Grinch plots to ruin Christmas for the village of Whoville. And it has the voice talents of Benedict Cumberbatch as the Grinch, Cameron Seeley, as Cindy Lou Who, Rashida Jones, Pharrell Williams, among many other voice talents. So, Tammy, why don't you tell us why you chose the Grinch?
I like this version. It's just a little bit different, and there's a few different little characters in it and everything. It's just I thought it was fun. I mean, it's the third like Grinch movie out there, besides the original, and then the other one with Jim Carrey in it, and so to me, this one's kind of like, even though there's not real people in it, it's kind of like in the middle. It's not the old classic one, and it's not as off the wall as Jim Carrey's one, but but it's still a lot of fun, and I like the different characters and a little bit of a different attitude in it and everything. I just thought it was fun.
And about how many times have you seen it by now?
A lot. I had already watched it before I decided we were going to use it. So.
Okay. How about you, Derek Tassis? What were your thoughts on this film? Was this a first time watch for you?
Well, so this came out in 2018, and I had kind of heard about it at the time, but I had heard literally nothing good whatsoever. So I had avoided it, and it seemed to just kind of be forgotten. And then when I heard we were doing this, it was like, oh, right, that did exist. So this was the first time I saw it, and oh my God. The Mean One was a much worse Grinch movie, by a lot. So this did have some redeeming qualities, but I don't know. This movie just felt kind of empty inside. It's like, well, that was the thing we saw. So, it was very pretty. So that's just kind of my first impression of it. Was not. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Heading over to you, Brandon. Anything more?
Oh. All right.
Okay. Brandon.
I will add that I did like Max and Lorraine there. They were very cute.
Okay.
Well, this is not my first time hearing of it. I had heard of it a while back, and I didn't really have much interest in seeing it. But then I got this Illumination animation pack because I like to thin out my collection a bit to make it a little bit less bulky. And it had a whole bunch. It had a number of Illumination films that I didn't have, and a number that I did, but they were all the same editions. They were just packaged in a nicer packaging. And so the Grinch came with it, and I did watch it. I think I watched it for the first time either last year or the year before. I can't remember. And I was not really impressed by it, but at the same time, I didn't think I needed to be, because again, this is a harmless okay, this is a harmless cartoon, meant for kids to enjoy at the time of year. There's a lot of Illumination Easter eggs in there, like you can see a snow minion or two, and some stuff from Despicable Me, and a few things here. Some modern takes on the music, and so a lot of them that are into that current level will like it. And I don't have a ton else that I really liked about it or not. I just thought it was there. It was definitely there. I disagree, though. I like the mean one a lot, but that's because it's my kind of movie. I like cheesy horror films, and that was very much a cheesy horror film. Though I will say, out of the 3 versions of the Grinch I have seen, I don't count the mean one. I would say that this is my least favorite of the 3 that I've seen. Just as it's just non-offensive, not really all that bad, not really all that great. Just kind of, it's there. It's a good movie for the kids and the iPad. I feel like.
I think that's probably a good way to put it, actually, because it wasn't like aggressively bad like the mean one was. It was just kind of. It just felt bland to me, I guess. But hearing that perspective that you offer on it, it's like, okay, this makes a lot more sense in that context.
And that's all I got to say about that.
Heading over to you, Jake.
I think the
Was
Jim
this a
Carrey
first-time
one
watch?
was actually a little bit more meaner too. So.
All right. All right. Is it my go?
Yeah.
All right. So I have. This is not my first time seeing this. I don't think I saw it the year it came out. I think I saw it the following year. I couldn't swear to it. But I do know I saw it, and I thought, okay. So I have seen, of course, I grew up with the original Boris Karloff voiced Grinch that was taken directly from the book. They had the Thurl Ravenscroft song that's like one of the best villain songs ever put in any media ever, as well as one of the best Christmas songs ever released. And I'll say right off the bat, one of the biggest knocks against this movie is I did not care for the remix. I did not care for it. And I saw the Ron Howard movie with Jim Carrey, and I remember at the time that there was a lot of negative buzz about the film in the way that it basically turned Whoville and its residents into normal holiday shoppers, which, and I agree with this, is entirely against the spirit of everything Dr. Seuss stands for. The way that the Who's and Whoville were presented in that film was so offensively wrong that I do not care for the Jim Carrey movie. I don't hate it the way some people do, but it was deeply, deeply, deeply flawed. This one luckily sidestepped that. I also came to this having seen Illumination's previous attempt at Dr. Seuss, the Lorax. And I will say, in terms of trying to add to the material and to create something that I guess modern audiences would be more in tune with, the Lorax at least gave us a couple of memorable songs, and Danny DeVito did a great job voicing the main character. I think Ed Helms was the one slur, if I remember correctly, and I thought he did a good job. Here we have Benedict Cumberbatch with an American accent, and he's all right. You could have hired anyone. It doesn't feel like Benedict Cumberbatch, but he did a good job. You know, Rashida Jones does a good job. What have you. The kid they hired to play Cindy Lou does a good job. I'm not going to be nearly as dismissive of the movie as Brandon was. I don't think this is just white noise, which I think is how I could distill what he said. If I'm misquoting, I don't think this is just white noise for the kids. But I will say that as far as Illumination's films go, it is one of their most safe, inoffensive films that they've done. And knowing that Scott Mosier is a co-director just astonishes me. Like, Scott freaking Mosier, Kevin Smith's buddy. And we got something this tame. That just feels like this is such a missed opportunity somehow. And I guess at the end of the day, that's kind of what it was. You know, and also the narrator is Pharrell Williams. That's one of those Illumination Easter eggs because he won an Oscar for making Happy for, what was it, Despicable Me 2? I can't remember at this point.
Yeah, it was Despicable. I want to say it was 2. It might have been 1, but I think it's 2.
But it's like, why bring in Pharrell Williams to narrate? Why not have him do another song? You know, just he's an okay narrator, but like if you put him up against like the original narration, or wasn't it Anthony Hopkins who narrated the other one? Like, he's a good narrator. Heck, they could have had Benedict Cumberbatch with his regular British accent narrating the film. And
that's one thing I also find as annoying is that I don't understand why you need to do the American accent for the part.
Well, apparently they wanted him to do his own accent, but since everyone else was American, he's like, I should be American too. And I get that. There's no reason why he should have a different accent because he grew up in the Village. So there's no reason for him to have a different accent. So that's a good artistic choice. It's just, yeah, why not get an American actor at that point? You know, it's weird. It's whatever.
Well, he was just coming off of Doctor Strange, I believe, at this point, because there are Doctor Strange Easter eggs in the movie.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So they probably wanted the Doctor Strange thing.
Could be. Well, I mean, I'm sure that's a big part of it because he is big. He's very popular. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, I put Max up for a reason because I was trying to think who's the character that I mean, I like Max. He's fun. The addition of the reindeer was kind of amusing. The guy who thinks he's Grinch's friend is kind of amusing. I feel like with Cindy Lou, they went a little too hard into the spunky kid who can do anything kind of trope, you know? And they tried to make her almost a full co-star, which is not too far off from the original, but you know. But overall, I mean, yeah, it's a good movie. It's inoffensive. It's safe. They made some really poor choices, but they also sidestepped the biggest flaw from the Jim Carrey movie. And overall, it's a fun little movie. I didn't mind watching it again. I did mind paying $4 to rent it. That was very annoying, and I'm kicking myself for not renting it, checking it out from the library, and saving myself the money. But whatever.
That was why I was trying to see. It's like, hey, do you have a smaller file you could use for them? Because I knew my file was going to be.
I know, and I was having problems with my computer, so I couldn't exactly do it. But in any case, well, I know I'm. Are you pretty much done then, Jake?
Oh yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Well, I'm coming to it. Well, Tammy saw the previews for it. She wanted me to keep a lookout for it. We found a copy. In fact, I think we both bought a copy of it at the same time. But when it actually finally came out, or maybe I'm thinking differently. But regardless, at first I was coming to it like, why do they got a Mara classic, or whatnot. So
Right.
obviously I was coming to it with some fan love for the original thing. So the first time I saw it, I was just okay with it. Like there did seem like there was something off, and I felt like the Grinch should have been like meaner or more sarcastic, and more abusive to Max. Than they did. It definitely did feel family friendly. The second time I saw it, which was maybe probably in 2019, 2020, when it actually came on to like TV, and you started seeing it around Christmas time, because it's now 2024, so it's had some time to be on television networks. But I get a kick out of the goat. The goat screams like it follows them. It goes, ah! I'm like, that's nutty. But yeah. Other than that,
I like the little goat.
So Brandon, you said that was a reference to something.
Oh yeah, it was a meme. It was a popular meme back in the day.
I must have missed that one.
It was all over. I remember on the Stephanie Miller show, she had something she thought was hilarious, where she basically synced that up with a Taylor Swift song, where it was basically. I'll have to send the clip. I think the clip is still there, because it's a screaming goat thing. You can just go and type "screaming goat" on YouTube, and you'll find it.
Okay.
You will find it.
I still enjoyed it whenever it happened or whatnot, but I know that technically has nothing to do with the story per se, but I get a kick out of it every time I see the film now, because I also remember there were some screaming things in Thor that reminded me of it too. So
same reference,
like
yeah.
But in any case, I enjoy the film for what it is. I mean, yes, it is more family oriented. But I get a kick out of it. So maybe I'm looking past the memes, and maybe it doesn't bother me. So, but in any case, that is pretty much my thoughts on it. I've seen it quite a few times now. I would say about 7. But in any case, Tammy, bring us into the plot.
Well, yeah. We. I'm sure most people are familiar with the story, but the Grinch doesn't like all the happiness of Whoville at Christmas time because he's never been happy at Christmas, and nobody's ever, treated him decently at Christmas or anything else. So he like totally resents Christmas.
Although you never
And
see anyone treat him like shit in the whole entire film, though.
no, but he makes reference that, he never belonged, or things like that. So you see him at the beginning, you see him have to go into town because he got so depressed about Christmas that he ate all the food. So he has to go into town. And he can't believe he ate all the food. And he even asked Max, was I really that depressed? So he goes into town and he's trying to basically hide from everybody, and they're all trying to, the carolers pop up, and he goes, runs from them, and they pop up again, and finally he gets into the store.
I will say,
and
I just want to say real quick, I will say, aside from the score by Danny Elfman, which is actually decent and I liked it, the one use of music that I enjoyed in this movie was those carolers doing God Rest You Merry Gentlemen as they followed the Grinch around town. It's like, I'm not sure that I have ever seen that song be so menacing.
Yeah, it almost mixed it with the West Side Story thing where they're just snapping their fingers as they're going in.
Yeah, so I was actually amused by that.
So he gets all this stuff, and he's leaving, and the guy that always has the big display or whatever is trying to tell him Merry Christmas, and they're having this big old it's supposed to be like an extra celebration that year, I believe is what it was. So,
yeah, 3 times as big. I do disagree with saying that they don't come across as commercial, because maybe not as much as the Carrie one, but they definitely come across as a capitalist, very coveting of of things.
Well, they're really the things are important, yes, but I feel like the spirit of giving, I think they tried really hard to show that in this one. And I think they did not try at all to do that in the Jim Carrey one. Like,
one of the main points that they tried to show in this one is that, Christmas is great unless you're one of the poor kids in the orphanage. And then, heck with that. You ain't getting any Christmas cheer. Because, again, he was in the orphanage. They had no money in the orphanage, so no one celebrated with him. He was looking at everybody else celebrating while he was left behind.
And again, that's his perspective, though.
That's his perspective. That's all a matter of your point of view, as they say in Star Wars. But still, it's to me, I feel like there is even in the beginning, they're all setting up their shops to sell all the Christmas goodies. I can see it, at least from the Grinch's perspective, how everything looks so surface level, annoyingly surface level, to where you can easily miss those things. And I think a lot of the point of the original Grinch, as much as they try to do here, is that there's that sometimes you kind of get away from it. Shoot, Charlie Brown Christmas special hits on this. Is sometimes we feel like we get away from it, but we have to remember some of the true spirit that's there. And I do feel like some of that was there. I know in the original, Cindy Lou helped bring that together. Actually, no. The original, it's just kind of sang there, but they work towards bringing it together.
In the original, I remember her coming down and noticing that, well, she was sleepy, and she noticed that he was going to take the Christmas tree away, and he's like, you get that whole scene. And then you see her in the end passing the meat and singing around the people. So she's not really a character except for looking cute in the original. So to me, she's kind of a side character in the original.
Well, yeah, she wasn't.
You know what I mean?
She wasn't meant to be a main character. She was meant to be more of a she was an embodiment of innocence, really, and truly. Whereas they really tried to make the Cindy Lou a character or a main character in the story, the kid character that the kids can follow along. But again, I mean, it's a kids' movie, so it should be that way. I have nothing personal against it for that. That's what it's supposed to do. It does a good job of appealing to kids and with modern sensibilities who are very internet savvy. Though some of the stuff is going to get dated over time. But shoot, the goat thing, I'm surprised. Actually, the goat thing's already dated. But yeah. But it's a very Illumination type film for the most part. Actually, the Minions movie is not that far off from this too.
But okay, we see him doing all the shopping, and the guy catches him when he's leaving, and then we go back to the village, and Cindy Lou is watching how hard her mom works to do everything and to keep everything together, keep everybody together, and she's got this idea that she wants to ask Santa for something for her, to make it, I don't know how she put it now. I don't remember. She wanted to get her make some, to show how she appreciates how much she does because she works so hard.
I think she wanted Santa to bring someone to help share the load or something like that. In a matter of speaking,
Yeah, it wasn't like I'm like trying to pinpoint exactly what kind of. It was more or less. I think she wanted her mom to be, something to show her that she was appreciated or whatever, and wanted to ask Santa for that. So she's trying to mail this card to Santa, which totally goes all berserk trying to get it there. So then she decides she's gonna take it there, which I thought that was cute about all the different layers she put on and everything. And she couldn't even like move. That was kind of funny. But to me, that was kind of, in a way, that was kind of trying to show the true meaning of Christmas, because all she wanted for Christmas was to make her mom happy. She wasn't even asking Santa for any toys or anything like that. She wanted something to make her mom happy. So,
and I don't call that empty. I call that something. So,
well, to me, that was
okay.
To me, that was the start of showing what the true meaning of Christmas is, which is the point that this film is trying to make. It's not what you get, and it's not how big, how many lights you have on your house, and it's not how many presents you get or anything like that, or how much you spend on presents for others. It's what you give of yourself, and she wasn't asking for anything material wise for Christmas, you know. So, but anyways, the Grinch thinks the Grinch decides he's gonna um destroy Christmas basically. So he goes looking for reindeer, and as he finds them, that lovely little goat scares them all away. I love that little goat. The first time I saw him, I couldn't stop laughing. And then he finds one big reindeer. But he's just so cute. He's so big, but he's cute. And he takes him back, and um him and Max are and the reindeer are trying to get all this stuff prepared so that they're gonna go and collect all the Christmas stuff down in Whoville to make Christmas disappear. So, anybody have anything to say about any of that?
I think it was kind of a nice idea to see him like planning out. Okay, so I'm going to steal Christmas. How do I do that? And it showed him like doing research, like planning his route, things like that. And it's like, okay, I did somewhat appreciate that. Like it felt like a worthwhile addition. And the reindeer scene was kind of fun. Where he's like, "We'll just go out and capture some reindeer," and he sees like a big herd of them right away, and he's like, "Oh, that wasn't so bad." But that weird goat that just keeps following him scares them all away, and he's like, "Well, good enough."
I do like one thing I saw in this that it's a very Illumination thing that they take from some of their stuff, but I think it goes well when adapting the Dr. Seuss films. Is some of the gadgets and stuff that they use, because a lot of their gadgets kind of do have a Dr. Seuss-like quality. Even if you look at like the Despicable Me movies, which I feel like are some of the best Illumination has to offer, a lot of the gadgets are very Dr. Seuss-like. So I think that those art styles kind of go well together. I think these inventions would have been just as easily seen in something like Despicable Me, but it also, I think, fits well. So I did think that was pretty good as far as choice of art style. I thought that was very well done there.
Oh yeah, the gadgets are really great.
Mm-hmm.
He sends poor Max to go spy on the town, fly through there. And then Max finds the hot dogs. That was good. He's supposed to be helping him map out the town.
Mhm.
So we've seen all the gadgets and everything and all that, and they're getting ready to go, and the whole townspeople, they're all set. They got everything, all the lights up. They did all their shopping. You know,
They get that
and
big
Cindy
gigantic
Lou is
tree up.
Yep, and Cindy Lou and her little friends decide that they're going to trap Santa so that Cindy Lou can ask
That's the
Santa for
Santa
what she
Claus.
wants. Huh?
Well, they set a trap for Santa Claus. So in a sense, it's almost like they try to kidnap him for a moment.
Well, they set a trap so that she can ask him what she wants for Christmas, but never got to mail her letter. So her and her little friends came up with the bright idea of trapping Santa just so that she can ask him. Because Santa's supposed to be able to grant every wish, right? So And just as they're about ready to take off to go into Whoville, the oh, what's his name? The reindeer. I forgot what his name was. But his wife and child show up,
The
and
rain, the reindeer. Ah,
the
jeez.
Grinch. Yeah, the reindeer.
Oh,
But his
jeez.
family shows up.
I'm drawing a
So
blank.
Yeah, I don't remember the name.
I
Ah,
don't either. But
Fred.
we'll just
It was Fred.
Fred.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Fred's family shows up. So the Grinch says, "Leah, go with your family. You know, I'm not gonna keep you for the family." So now, poor Max is the one that's got to step up to the plate and pull this sled that the Grinch had so much fun getting off the top of that house. Now, was that supposed to be a dog or a cat that was giving him all the trouble trying to get that sleigh
Hmm.
I think it was a
off
dog.
of that house?
You know,
Yeah,
like
that
a
was a dog.
bulldog or
Was he?
something.
Yeah, that was
It
the
was a
neighbor's
dog.
dog.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
yeah,
it was the neighbor's dog.
he went through a whole lot trying to get that off of that house, but so he's got the sleigh. He's all set to go. So he goes down to town, and with all his little gadgets and everything, he's able to slither down the chimney and get and collect everything, collect their food, collect their all their decorations, all their toys, all their outside decorations and everything, and he keeps throwing the little bags onto the sled, and you, as he collects everything and leaves nothing behind, the last house that he gets to is where Cindy Lou is, and he's just about out of there, um, except for the tree. And he gets caught in her trap. So she
They do
gets
some
him down,
foreshadowing with that,
and huh?
where they do some foreshadowing with that, where he's telling Max and Fred, "All right, these are the biggest landmines, the cookies. Don't you get tricked by the cookies." And then, of course, what does he do? He gets trapped because he gets tricked to eat the cookies.
Well, of course, the cookies.
Just one more. Well, no.
Oh yeah.
Just like with my diet, one will
Speaking
hurt.
of Fred, speaking of Fred, when he was teaching them about what not to get, I like right beforehand when they came home, Fred was playing with that whipped cream, and the whipped cream comes out of his nose. That was funny. And when he's telling him not to get trapped by the cookie, it's like all of a sudden the cookie's gone, and he's just looking at Fred like, okay, that's what you're not supposed to do. But yes, he gets trapped, and Cindy Lou is telling him what she wants to tell him. And and you she caught him. He also had the tree, and he tells her he has to go take it to get fixed, and sends her off to bed. And then, in true Grinch fashion, he takes all the stuff back to his to the hill because he is going to dump it over the edge. But before that happens, he waits for the sun to come up over Whoville, expecting everybody to be crying and
In
upset and
pandemonium.
everything. Right. And at first they were all in disbelief, and then they started singing like they normally did, and he couldn't believe it. But Cindy Lou still blames herself, because she trapped him, because she trapped Santa Claus. So that's why he did it. And then her mother tells her that Christmas isn't the presents and the decorations and all this. Christmas is in your heart. That is what Christmas is. And the Grinch is remembering the words that little Cindy Lou said to him and realizing that all this all that stuff he took didn't mean anything. Christmas came anyways. And as he realizes it, in true Grinch fashion, his heart grows. Because we thought his heart was 2 sizes too small. Now it's growing. It's growing to the normal size. And then he decides that he is not going to destroy their Christmas anymore. And just as he comes to that realization, the sled starts to go over the edge. And he's
Yep,
trying
and
to
in the
save the
original,
sled.
in the original Grinch and in the Jim Carrey Grinch, it's his strength in heart that takes the sled and brings it back up over the hill. But that's not the case here.
Looks like the Beatles song.
No.
Travel with it from his friends.
No, in this one, he's pulling on it. Fred is pulling it. Max is pulling it. Fred's family is pulling it. And they finally get it to come back.
Well, Fred was a surprise, and that's when he's like, "Hey, you came back," you know.
Yep, but if Fred wouldn't have come back, they wouldn't have gotten the sled back. It was all of
Nope.
them working together that brought it back. So they go and take. He decides to go and take everything back. Tells everybody he's sorry, and Cindy Lou's mother invites him and his cute puppy too to dinner. And he's all nervous about going and everything, and he finally does go. Oh, wait, before that though, before they go, he does something he's never probably done before, and he gives Max a present for Christmas. And that little guy is just overjoyed with his new toy for Christmas. And they go to dinner. Everybody accepts him, and he even gets to carve the roast beast. And that's really about it. There really isn't much to it, you know.
I do like
It doesn't
they
really.
have to when they bring the big ass tree in for the town of Whoville, that they have to bring it in by helicopter or some shit like that.
It's so loud and shaky. It shakes the guy's home.
He's like, "You are not lighting that up," and it's like I'm kind of on his side with that scene because it's so big that it would be pretty blinding. Like that would.
Yeah.
Oof.
Like the National Lampoon's house.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So.
There's a lot of cute little extra, off the, a lot of cute scenes throughout it. I mean, but we get the gist of the movie, even then we have all the little cute things, which makes it fun. The first night that Fred is there, Fred and Max basically take over the bed, and he lets them, which isn't normal Grinch.
I
he's
do kind of
definitely a
wish
lot
that we
nicer.
would have gotten. I do kind of wish that we would have gotten more of a attitude of negativity towards the Grinch by the Whoville tenants, you know, just to show that they
Yeah, this one
still
is a lot
somewhat
nicer
currently.
than the others.
This one doesn't quite have almost the creepy nature of some of the original Grinch. It's not as creepy as, say, the Halloween special that the Grinch was in. That one was much creepier. But
I don't really even talk about that all that much anymore, because it seems like I'm the only person who remembers that a lot of the time.
I will always remember it just because.
Well, yeah, there were several holidays.
And when I was a kid, I was exposed to that Halloween special, and it messed with my head when I was little. Doesn't so much as an adult, but yeah. But I like the Halloween special. I still like to watch it occasionally.
I want to rewatch it now.
But yeah, at the end, I consider this one very inoffensive. Again, my mind isn't much different than before. I don't consider it too bad. I just don't consider it like, for me. But yes,
He's a lot nicer all the way. The Grinch is a lot nicer all the way around.
Yeah.
He's not as rude and nasty to Max as in the other ones. He's not as mean. Period. He's a lot nicer before he is supposed to be nice. This is how I don't know how else to say it.
Which is maybe my biggest offense against this movie in this current day and age. But for some reason, some of the characters around the Grinch and this movie have kind of, like, its initial blow of, okay, it exists, has softened for me since it's coming out. So,
it's just cute. It's a cute movie.
Yeah.
And it is. I mean, there's a. And
no, it doesn't
again,
follow a lot of the original.
I mean, if it was like a
off the wall as Jim Carrey's.
Well, yeah, I'm not the one to say about liking Jim Carrey's one either. That would be more other people. But I would say it's not as weird as Jim Carrey's.
I don't really know what else to say about it. If anybody else wants to add any little scenes or whatever.
Yeah. I felt it was inoffensive. A good one to have to, like, if it's during the holidays, to throw on the iPad for your kid. I don't see anything wrong in that end. Though I wouldn't mind. I mean, I wouldn't say discount the original Grinch for this one. I wouldn't want to replace the old Grinch cartoon for this. Though definitely, if I had to have a choice and I was sitting there, I'd probably choose this one because it's longer for it to distract a child. But I definitely wouldn't want to necessarily replace that one with this one. And I don't know. I still think, I understand the choice for the accent, but I think he would have sounded much cooler with Cumberbatch's a real accent.
I will add something I did kind of like with this one was the implication that the Grinch was kind of an inventor. Like, he had all those weird contraptions. And during the credits, after he's been kind of accepted into Whoville, we see the stuff that the weird machines all over his house start appearing in Whoville. Like, he's been just building them for people. So I thought that was kind of a fun, subtle touch thing that nobody else probably saw.
Oh, I thought that the production design on this was pretty good.
It was very pretty. It was a really good-looking movie. It was just, I think, simplistic is the word people used, and it was cute. This would be fine if you were like 10, I think. But like as an older person, I was just kind of, there wasn't a lot, you know. I don't like the phrase "turn your brain off," but it was a little bit like that, where it's like, you know, don't expect like a deep story. Don't expect the Barbie movie. Let's put it that way.
The yeah, in terms of the story and writing and the plot, they had a very small, very well written, but very small book to work from, and where they tried to fill in with Susie and dialogue, they did okay, or narration or whatever. They could have done better. I will say, as far as the overall production, I don't think I chimed in earlier, but I do agree with the idea that seeing how they handled the illustrations from the book, I think it worked really nicely here. The fur effects were good. I was reasonably impressed there, but like just in terms of the gadgets and the scenery and everything, it had a very strong Susian quality to it, which was nice. They really toned down the Grinch and made him, I'm not sure cuddly is the right word, but he's definitely not as hideous as he might have been otherwise.
I think they made him much more of a likable character.
Yeah.
Which I'll admit, I mean, the Carrey one had Jim Carrey's wildness to kind of appeal to the kids. As this one kind of, they wanted to make him just a kind of a nicer, like the nice guy, but you know, that you kind of dismiss. I mean, I actually, this one is a good carryover from the Lorax when it comes to art design, because the Lorax, they also showed that they could definitely take the Dr. Seuss look and run with it.
Right, and I do agree what you said earlier.
Definitely.
I think, Brandon, I think it was you that said earlier that you felt like the Despicable Me actually looked like it borrowed from Seuss a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I can agree with that. I feel like there definitely is sort of a vibe there that works overall with this. It does seem to work with Illumination's overall style, but their overall style is a lot smoother and more polished than, like, Seuss's books had a rough-hewn quality, which also the original animation had kind of a rough-hewn quality to it. A lot more angular, a lot more hard lines, that kind of thing. This one's a lot softer, and of course the computer-generated graphics is a big part of that. But Illumination generally has those really kid-friendly, soft look to their stuff. But that being said, it doesn't look bad or cheap like it would in a lesser studio, if that makes sense. Yeah.
They were a good studio to tap for the Super Mario Brothers movie, and because I believe they were the ones that did that too. And I mean, again, they're very good with their fantasy work, with their art style. I really do think that they don't experiment a lot. I don't think. I mean, I feel like they're very safe with how they do it. They've got their style and they stick with it. They just kind of perfect that. It's not quite like, say, Pixar, who always plays up with their style a bit. I mean, shoot, they even had a short where they experimented with 2D animation, which I love night and day. So, but it's still, like I say, I think that they're a very good, safe bet when it comes to these types of things. And Despicable Me 1 and 2 are still quite impressive films, as far as kids' films are concerned.
Well, yeah, the Grinch definitely is not as scary or whatever looking in here, you know. He's
You
got
don't get a creepy ass vibe when you go into to the Grinch or coming out of it. So
He
if
doesn't
you're
murder,
looking for creepy, this
he
is
doesn't
it.
murder
But
people right out the
I've
gate,
learned
like in the mean one.
I wasn't into it.
All right. All right.
Oh, music?
I thought the music was all right. I didn't mind the modern songs, or the narrator really, like whoever that guy was. Like, it felt a little. It felt a little modern for the sake of modern. It was a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was poppy for the sake of that.
Yeah.
But to some extent, that did kind of suck. But overall, it was. It could have been a lot worse. Like, let's just put it that way. Like, it was acceptable.
Well, it's like I was saying, like with
Pretty good.
these, I kind of tuned them out. Like the remix of "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch" is just like, really no. Like the Lorax at least had like, like "How Bad Can I Be?" That's a really catchy, memorable song. You know what I mean? It's maybe not the best song in the world, but it's catchy and it's memorable. And then, of course, "Happy" was like the very definition of a catchy earworm kind of song, almost painfully so. And here, there's just nothing like that here. But like I said, that one scene with the choir, which apparently was performed by Pentatonics, so maybe that's part of the reason why it was pretty cool. Because they're definitely good at that kind of thing. And then again, Danny Elfman, his scores are kind of like what we were just saying about the animation. A Danny Elfman score is safe, it's reliable, it's fun, and half the time he's just basically putting out a reworked version of earlier stuff he's done. And this is probably one of the least, like, in terms of fading into the background, this is probably one of the most unmemorable Elfman scores I've ever heard. But it's safe, it's fun, and it does the job, So it's like I'll be listening. I will remember and want to listen to Batman or The Simpsons, and this one I'll be like, what did that one even sound like? But while you're watching the movie, it's good.
Yeah. What was that thing about? Like, I wouldn't necessarily listen to it on its own, but it
Right.
does its job. I did not like the remix of "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch," but again, I feel like I am too old to really love it. I'm not right.
The best reworking of that song is still the version they had K.D. Lang sing for Glee season 2.
Oh, I love that one.
That was great.
Pentatonics actually does it, I believe.
What's that?
Pentatonics actually redid it themselves.
I'm sure they did. They've done a lot of stuff over the years.
But I thought, though, some of y'all might disagree with me on this. I do feel like the original is far more memorable for me than the remix they did here. I feel like 20 years from now, that one will. I agree. This one will probably not.
The original will always hold true, but I actually don't mind this remix. I'm normally not a rap fan or this and that, but I don't mind it. Let's just put it that way. I'll listen to it.
It could have been worse. It could have been a lot worse. Like, compared to the MC Hammer take on the Addams Family theme from the Addams Family, this is a damn near a classic. It's so much better than that piece of crap was. But like I said,
Yeah, that Adams Family one is actually, it's at least, it's funny. It works as a joke, you know? It's,
yeah.
I consider it a classic in a lot of senses because it's something I will listen to and I will remember. Sort of like the Vanilla Ice "Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go." It's not a good song, but it's very memorable.
Well, at least that one, the only thing he
that
was ruining was his own career. But yeah,
I don't.
what were you saying,
hear-
Tammy?
I have to agree. I like the original Grinch song better, a lot better. I'm not really a big rap person either, so yeah, I wasn't really that.
And let me clarify: it's not just that it's a rap song. It's just I've heard much better rap. Like I've heard much better rap. I just feel like I think Brandon might have been the one earlier that I heard someone call this a cash grab. I feel like that certainly is how I would describe that song. I don't feel that the people who put that together, most aspects of this movie, I will feel there was some effort put in. There was some work put in. I'm not so sure about that remix.
But I feel like the same artists, if they worked on other Illumination, because I've heard a lot of other Illumination remixes like this that sound like they were from the same artist, and they've done better work.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, the Despicable Me theme, that was an R&B. It was a rap, and that one actually was pretty catchy. So I can't really, I feel like I do feel like that one felt a little bit lazy in a lot of ways.
Right.
I guess I'd have to say it's not so much that it's rap because I really don't have anything against it that way. It's just it doesn't give you the same thing. The original, the way the original sounded, it gave you something. This doesn't give you anything. It's just music.
You just can't get a singing voice like you had with that guy. Was it Thurl?
Thurl Ravenscroft.
Yeah, you can't. That voice is just ooh. And then of course Karloff as the Grinch. I mean, dang, that's those are hard to beat.
I mean, if they had done this 10 years ago, maybe Leonard Cohen would have been a good alternative, but I don't believe he's with us anymore. So, yeah, that would have been. Who is around that could do something like that? But then you don't want it to be identical, because if it's identical, then it just feels like a pale copy.
But it's got to do its own thing. I mean, for all the flack that Carrie one gets, it definitely does its own thing.
Yeah.
So I will. It does have a lot of originality behind it. Whether it works or not, that's up for debate. But it is very original.
I personally like. There's certain things I like of all three of them. The original will always be my favorite, but there are things that I do like out of this one and out of Carrie's too. Neither one of them are my favorite because my favorite will always be the original. But there are things I like. So usually every year I end up watching all three of them.
That's the other thing is that when you've got Christmas films, it's not the good thing about Christmas films is that you have the lion's share of them. There are 1.5 million holiday films to choose from. I should know. I was working my butt off trying to watch as many holiday films as possible, and I still left off a ton of the classics because there were still so many of them. It's just there's just a lot, and it gets to where you end up getting to the season. You got to sit there and think, okay, I got to pick and choose. Some of these guys are going to be left out. So which ones do I leave out? But the biggest comment I would have I think Mario says it best when it comes to the Jim Carrey Grinch.
And if you do drugs, you go to hell before you die. Please.
But I guess we are. Are we ready for favorites, or are we have anything else for music?
I don't think,
I think
we
so.
have much more.
You want to go
music.
first?
No. I mean, my favorite scene. Wow. I kind of like the whole organ scene where he's doing the all by myself on the organ. I thought that was interesting-ish.
Do you have a favorite character?
I like the neighbor. the supposed best friend.
Okay. Is that it?
Yep.
All right, Jake.
I'm not 100% sure what I would say is my. I guess maybe the scene with the carol singers stalking him through town. That might be my favorite scene if I had to pick one. It's like it's kind of hard to rate because a lot of the scenes that are like integral to the story have already been done, and in most cases better. But I did like that one scene, and that just amused the hell out of me. So I'll go with that. And with characters, I guess I'm probably going to go with Max. I think. I kind of do like this Grinch, but I kind of don't. I have mixed feelings. I like him, but I don't want to, if that makes sense. But I do think that I do think that overall, as far as the modernized, slightly more fleshed out versions of the characters, Max might have been the one that won out the most on that. As far as characters that are original to this film, the neighbor was just daffy enough to be fairly amusing. So I guess I could go with that as a runner up.
Okay. How about you, Dustin?
Well, I had actually forgotten about that scene until Jake mentioned it with Carol just kind of like aggressively singing at him. Like, I forgot I did enjoy that. It was like, ew, get away. It's like they know who he is. They know it bugs him, and they're like, we're gonna do this. Like it was very threatening. It was. It was a fun moment. So I did like that. I think trying to not pick something that's already been picked, but at the same time, I think maybe I could say favorite character would be Max because the dog is really expressive. I mean, he's always been in the other adaptations, but you can kind of tell what he's thinking more so in this particular one. So, and especially like that little thing where like Max makes the Grinch his breakfast, and then after they pick up the reindeer does it, and Max is like, "What are you doing?" Like Max is like openly jealous of the reindeer. Like that was a fun little thing. I mean, a little corny and predictable, but it was fun anyway. Like you get it.
I don't know if he was might have been somewhat jealous, but I think he thought he was going to break it too.
It looked like he was gonna break it, and then it was just fine. And it's like, oh, okay.
I know it's so funny because he's so big, and that little tiny thing he's standing on, and it just goes like it's supposed to, and it's like, you've got to be kidding. Okay, David.
Let's see. Anytime the screaming goat came along, the part where Fred had that stuff had that stuff coming out his ears or nose.
Oh, and he was huffing whipped cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The part where I think there was a part where the Grinch was being followed by the goat at one point in time that I liked. See, I didn't. See, the neighbor annoyed me a little bit. For some reason, whenever there's anyone that's way too fucking positive, that just irks me. And he was just way too positive. Like there are people who are extremely positive, like too positive, like too uppity, and sometimes I find that annoying. But yeah. Other than that, I do like the end. Where the only part that I don't mind the neighbor is when he gives him this big goofy hug. In the end, and I did like the moment where she tried to go and find Santa Claus, and her mother was telling her the pros and cons of it. So yeah, there were definitely some moments that I liked. So, favorite character? Yeah, the goat. It's between the goat and Max.
Okay. Well, our character was Max. The little guy just tries so hard to do everything right. He's just adorable. Favorite scenes? I love that little goat. I just love that little goat. He's just, but I also like it, when they're trying to be stealthily, like, and they're trying to hide here and hide there and hide there, and it's like, you guys are making too much noise, and Fred is way too big to be hiding the way he's hiding, you know. But it was cute. There was just a bunch of scenes that were cute, with the whipped cream and you know and everything. So I just think there was a bunch of cute ones. So that's that.
Okay. Well, hopefully, you, ladies and gentlemen, have enjoyed our discussion on this film. Did we want to go around and do our outros? Let's start with you, Dustin. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Boy, whenever you stand up to get a beer, it's always your turn. Well, I am the Cryptohorus. I collect horror movie stuff whenever I get the chance. I have a YouTube channel, The Crypt of Horrors. which I have been horribly neglecting all year, no matter how many promises I make to actually do stuff. But, well, it's a new year now, and we're gonna never mind all that and try to actually get things done again. So, subscribe to the Crypt of Horrors on YouTube. Hopefully, changing it to Cryptaxis soon because that's just easier to search and find. The Instagram, same deal, Crypt of Horrors, which I'm a little better at posting on Instagram. So partially, there just has been no resources to do any collecting for the last year and a half. I mean, I've gotten a few things here and there, but it's been bad. So that's the main reason for the slowdown of the channel. So if anybody listening actually does watch me, that's why. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter as well as Cryptaxis. I'm on there pretty much all day, every day, to my own detriment. So yeah, let's have a good time. Follow me, all those places. I'm gonna go. Good night, and thank you for listening.
Definitely. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night and good luck.
Heading over to you, Tammy. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I go on another one with Dave and talk about movies and everything. And I got a new job, so we'll see how that goes this year. And that's about it.
Alrighty. Heading over to you, Jake. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I'm Kotobuki Jake. I'm the co-host of the YouTube channel SeptumSin vs. World, where we talk about physical media and just generally have a good time doing weird, crazy stuff. And I generally am working the lion's share of the time, but we're coming off the holidays where I actually got to spend a whole bunch of time on the road and seeing a lot of fun stuff that you don't necessarily get to see just walking out your back door. So, so that was good times. And I do still, make time to watch some stuff to join these folks every week for this channel. And also, we just came off of a discussion on our channel of the anime movie series, The Garden of Sinners. That was a big haul watching that one, and apparently I should have watched quite a bit more to prepare for it, but it still was a pretty interesting discussion. So, check that out if you are of a mind to. And yeah, I guess that's it for me.
Okay, heading over to you, Brandon. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I'm SeptumSin, the SeptumSin versus the World. We love physical media, and our channel is mostly about physical media. I have been kind of like saying, yeah, whatever, this channel exists lately. But I am starting 2024 off with the goal of reviving the channel to active status. And we've made a step towards that. We've recorded everything for episode 2 of the SeptumSin versus the World show. I'll be editing it Wednesday, having it up. But I'm also going to be trying to put out some new content every week. So it's going to be fun, and we're going to be rushing harder. I keep talking about that tabletop horror show, and we were still only 7 episodes recorded, and I want to get 12 in before I start throwing them out. But I'm also on Schlockaholics, which is a slowly but surely growing channel where we talk a lot about schlockiness when it comes to movies and so on. our last video, we actually covered something that parallels the tabletop horror because we covered skullduggery. And we'll be doing some Herschel Gordon-Levitt stuff this weekend. This weekend for our next one. So that's going to be good. That is Blood something. He always Herschel Gordon-Levitt loved to put blood in the title of his stuff. It was Color Me Blood Red is what we're going to be doing. And, of course, Wednesday night, we're going to be doing the Classic Cuts series that Mo has going on. And it's going to be Scanners that we're covering. Scanners, very classic film. Very much worth checking out if you like some very cool classic content there. And we do have another one, but Tammy is actually our host next week too, so she can catch it up with after you're done, Dave.
Alrighty. And my name is David Strege. I'm one of the founding fathers of Inside Movies Galore. So thank you for coming along with us on this very good start of the year. And hopefully y'all didn't leave with being a little grumpy after maybe even watching and following along with this discussion. But I don't want to call or name anyone a Grinch just yet per se. But I think we had a lot of fun this go around. But I also moonlight on a different channel where we go on about various movies to discuss, which I do believe that we are going to be discussing a movie that I like really well called Safe House, starring Patrick Stewart and Kimberly Williams. So looking forward to that discussion this Sunday. I know it's veering from our theme, but I feel the need to discuss it. But I am actually feeling very proud of myself and my team who is helping me to put out my anthology. I believe we're one more day away from having the first anthology film in the can by next week.
Credits
So
just finished exporting.
Yes, we just have to connect a few more dots, and I believe we can call it a wrap next week. So it's exciting. Still a little bit more to go on the second film, but we're not that far behind on that one either. So, that being said, Tammy, what film are we discussing next week? Do you remember?
I was sitting here going, what are they talking about?
Okay, Brandon, why don't you enlighten her on which film that we're going to be discussing next week?
Well, this one is a Christmas or Halloween classic. I guess it depends on where you throw it. But since this month's theme, well, we never did do this month's theme. The month's theme are holiday films, though really you could look at this as an extension of the holiday season, Christmas-wise, because we all went with more Christmas holiday, though this one could definitely go for one or the other, and that is The Nightmare Before Christmas. One we've covered here on the channel before, so if you want to, you can load up that discussion, and that way when you get to ours, you can see how we look at it differently with a different crew. It's going to be a very interesting show indeed. I'm not even sure who was on for the original discussion. I think I was, Dave was.
I might have been.
Jake might have been. But Tammy wasn't. So that's important.
Okay.
Dustin
No,
might
I wasn't.
because Dustin was in the old crew. So,
Hmm.
but it's going to be interesting. Might have a different take. Time definitely does change views and thoughts. I know that there's plenty of films that I watched 20 years ago that I come back to now and go, maybe this wasn't as good as I remembered it. Or maybe this wasn't as bad as I remembered it.
Yes, sometimes.
That's kind of how where I'm going with this one.
Hmm.
So
Good times.
So hopefully everyone like, share, subscribe, go out and see this film. Come back and join us to continue the holiday spirit as as we go and explore these some of these films once over again, and have some fun and have a blast while we're doing it. So on that note, everyone, say good night.
Good night, everyone.
good night.
Good night.